Let me tell you something, Pack Nation. Before we get into it today, some of you are new, some of you missed the last episode, and some of you have been texting me all week asking questions that tell me you definitely did not listen. So here is the short version. A few days ago, I sat down and I walked through the Packers' dead cap situation. $43,199,000 in dead money, 11th in the league. And the two biggest chunks, Rashawn Gary at $17 million and Kenny Clark at $17 million, are both sitting in Dallas right now. $34 million going to the Cowboys for players we no longer have. On a roster we are telling everyone is a contention window. That was the rant. If you missed it, go back and find it on the Packernet podcast network. I will wait. But somebody did listen, and somebody had thoughts. We got actual mail from a man named Randy in Minnesota. And Randy, I want you to know, I read this thing 3 times. Once fast, once slow, and once out loud to nobody in particular because I needed to hear it in my own voice before I responded. That is how seriously I take the correspondence on this show. Randy says, and I am going to be fair here because Randy is being fair. Randy says the Gary dead cap is not as dire as I presented it. That trading him opened up cap space for 2026 roster construction. That keeping him would only compound the bad deal. And that Clark, well, who wouldn't trade Clark for Parsons? And he says next year, both of them are off the books. Randy, brother, I need you to listen to me very carefully. Everything you just said is correct, and it does not help Brian Gutekunst one single bit. Stay with me here. You are describing the cure. I was describing the disease. Yes, trading Gary was the right call. Yes, trading Clark for Parsons was the right call. Yes, next year the dead cap clears. I am not arguing any of that. But Randy, you do not get credit for cleaning up a mess you made yourself. That is not cap management. That is damage control. And there is a difference. If I go out to my garage and I leave a bag of rock salt open all winter and it ruins the floor, and then in the spring I sweep it up, I did not make a good decision. I made a bad decision, and then I addressed it. Those are not the same thing. The Gary signing, 4 years, $96 million in October of 2023, when we were 2-5. That was the mistake. The trade was the only logical response to the mistake. You don't give Gutekunst a gold star for trading a guy he never should have locked up at that price in the first place. That is like thanking the plumber for fixing the pipe that he installed wrong 2 years ago. And the Clark situation, Randy, I love you, but think about what you just said. Who wouldn't trade Clark for Parsons? Okay, nobody is arguing that. Parsons is a generational player. The trade made sense. I have said so on this very show. But we also gave up 2 first-round picks to get him. 2. And we are eating $34 million in dead cap on top of it. You cannot look at the Parsons trade in isolation and call it clean. The total cost of that deal, when you add the picks and the dead cap and the Clark extension that backfired in under a year, is enormous. We are mortgaged, Randy. We are mortgaged and we are carrying the baggage. Now, I will say this. Randy makes a real point about next year. 2027, that dead cap clears. The books get cleaner. And if Gutekunst uses that space correctly, if the draft starts hitting again, if the free agency decisions improve, then maybe we look back on this as a rough patch that was managed through. I genuinely hope that is the story. I want that to be the story. But right now, in 2026, we are in a contention window with no first-round picks and $34 million floating off to Dallas. And I reserve the right to be loud about that until it gets fixed. Randy, I appreciate you, brother. The rye old-fashioned sounds outstanding. You enjoy that deck. And as always, go, Pack, go. I am Big Sal. This is Let Me Tell You Something on the Packernet Podcast Network. Keep the letters coming, Pack Nation. I'll talk to you soon.